Okay, let's get into this.
Out here screaming like, oh my God, SNAP is ending and kids are going to go hungry. But the truth is, every single one of you has misguided anger. This is going to be a controversial take. So before you come into my comments and rage, just know that I was a food stamp kid and we faced some really shady times in those early years. But my mother would have sold her soul to make sure that we had food to eat. If you're in a position where the government can completely remove your ability to provide food for yourself, you're too reliant on the government. That is nobody's fault but your own. The second book of Thessalonians tells us that if you don't work, you don't eat. So when you're out here with your bleeding heart, crying over all these kids that are potentially going to go hungry, who should you really be mad at? You can scream Orange Man bad all you want, but the truth is that it's the Democrat socialists that are to blame, and not even the ones that are in office right now. First, they convinced you that they were coming to rescue the needy with the New Deal and the Great Society, both of which were Democrat initiatives. And Obama came in and massively overextended the program to get everybody hooked on the system. And now the government who promised to feed you is the same government who has the power to starve you. You want to be mad at somebody? Fine. Be mad at the parents who aren't willing to provide for their own children. Be mad at the people who believed the lie that total government reliance was a fail-safe plan. Be mad at the Democrats for proving to you once again that socialism doesn't work. Or be glad that they gave you this modern day example of how socialism never works. And then remember that when you go to the voting booth.
She started out by talking about how she was a food stamp baby and her mother would have done anything to put food on the table. I, too, was a food stamp baby. I grew up in a dirt poor household, and my parents worked multiple jobs, both of them, in order to try and make it. And they still needed food stamps. So as you go on in your screed about how parents are totally reliant on the government and aren't willing to do anything to provide for their kids, I'm a prime example of what millions of Americans are going through right now. My childhood is a prime example. Two parents busting their asses at multiple jobs and still in need of government assistance to help close the gap. Not totally reliant on the government, but reliant in a manner that they need to go. You want to help these people? Okay. Instead of giving them SNAP, how about the government actually legislate that they earn a living wage? Are you in favor of that? Because I'll bet you're not. I'll bet you're not in favor of making sure that the minimum wage, at a minimum, is a livable wage across this country. I'll bet you're not in favor of the government legislating that if somebody in this country works 40 hours, they should be able to survive. Basic, bare minimum necessities survive at the end of the month. I'll bet you're against that. Because you just want to go on and on and on about how parents won't even bother to provide for their... Did my parents bother when my father was working a day job, a part-time night job, and a part-time weekend job while my mother was working at MK, scrubbing down stainless steel sinks, or working at Bally's, putting together pinball machines? Were they bothering to put food on the table? And then you come in with your fucking religious book. According to this book of the Bible, you want to talk about the Bible? Let's talk about the Bible, boo. Couldn't help but notice you left out a few Bible verses like these. If you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfied the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness and your night will become like noonday. The afflicted shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him shall praise the Lord. He upholds the cause of the oppressed and gives food to the hungry. But Jesus said, they need not go away. You give them something to eat. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. And, of course, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. Those are the Bible verses folks like you always seem to skip over because it doesn't fit the narrative. You want to pretend to be a Christian? Then cosplay it all the way. Feed the hungry. Clothe those in need. Treat people who need treatment. Invite the stranger in. If you're going to cosplay, do it right.